Hey, back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. Today we have Drain the Oceans. This is a NatGeo, National Geographic thing. It's a series, actually. It's not just a single episode. There is a single episode of this, like a documentary, single documentary of it, that were added, I guess, since the launch. So it's not on my list. This is the only one. Uh, yeah, it ran from 2018 to 2019, so it's really recent, and you can tell because the special effects, the graphics, the digital effects they use to drain the oceans uh, is actually pretty amazing. It's modern. It's not like it's 1995 and you're looking at the first Toy Story and you're like, why do they all look so dead-eyed? It's and of course there's no characters in this. It's just the ocean floor being depicted and what they find under it when they drain it. Before I forget his name, the best special effect in this series is the narrator, Russell Bolton. Russell Bolton. Russell Bolton. I could have swore they could have picked some sort of movie actor and made it super, a voice that you recognize. You could have, Jason Isaacs or somebody, just really drive it home. This guy also has a British accent, but he he makes everything sound so much more exciting. And when it comes to a documentary series about draining the ocean, you may not think it's exciting or that it's interesting in any way. It's certainly educational, but it's actually really cool. Maybe I'm just a nerd about it. I don't know. But what do you do when you have a series of explorations of the ocean floor? You start with something exciting, and usually that involves war. And what war was the most exciting? World War II. And nothing like digging up old battles with Nazis. Well, not digging up, but diving in to the ocean floor and seeing what happened to the wrecks and researching as to why they ended up there. That's what they tend to pose. They do a scan of the ocean floor. They set up the scenario, the time, the what's going on at the moment, and they say with a number of scans and a 3D recreation of what it would look like with the water removed. It shows you the ocean floor exposed to the sun for the first time, he likes to say, in centuries or years or decades, whatever. But it's, yeah, they show, what was the Graf Zeppelin, the only Nazi aircraft carrier, and how it was sunk to the bottom of the Baltic Sea, how it got there, and why it got there. And believe it or not, that's one of the many stories. They go do about 4 stories per episode, and I watched 2 episodes. And this first one, which is all about World War II and Nazis and stuff like that, they went to the Baltic Sea, they went to the English Channel, they were down in the Indian Ocean, and they drained each of them, and they showed how the results of these battles. So, like the Graf Zeppelin, which is not a blimp, it's an aircraft carrier. It was supposed to be this devastating machine, and it was massive. And they wanted to just launch the Luftwaffe off of that thing, and just dominate the air and the sea with that thing. But it was hobbled and sunk, and after the war, the Russians actually pulled it up out of the water and then used it as target practice to see how much damage those things could take before they sink. So they could see what would happen if, they happen to run across American aircraft carriers. So, yeah, Cold War. So, we can't get enough of wars, apparently. Anyway, there's also the story of how the Germans were facing off had a boat that was disguised as a merchant ship, and how they would face off against a cruiser from the Australian army, and were able to sneak up on them, and at the last moment switch their flag, reveal their guns, and blow the hell out of the Australian ship. And they would only, and the thing is, they knew that the Australian ship was sunk. They just didn't know exactly where and how the Nazi ship was sunk, and that was part of the exploration, being able to go under there and to be able to look at what weapons they used to take down the Australians, and what led to their destruction themselves. And those are fascinating stories. Those are, they also deal with subs. There was another story about a German sub that was crawling everywhere along the English Channel. I guess it's the English Channel. Yeah, it's the English Channel. And while supplies were being shipped back and forth, this U-boat would just come up and blow away no end to the amount of ships that it sank. And eventually it disappeared, and it was due to other efforts, which I don't want to ruin, because I think this is actually a really fascinating series. This is actually a really fascinating... each of the episodes run 46, 47 minutes each. It was meant, played on the National Geographic Channel. So you can see where the breaks are for the commercials, but there are no commercials. It's Disney Plus. So yeah, it's kind of a weird thrill when he sets you up. It's like, hey, well, it's time to. It doesn't say it's time, but the way he flows right into setting up the mystery and going, well, this is how we're going to see how that all went down, and they just start lowering the water levels through digital imagery, and then you just see these things rising from the depths, in a sense, and in the bottom of the ocean you see what's left of them, and it's a realistic depiction. The second episode deals with the Gulf of Mexico, and they start with the dinosaurs. They start with where the asteroid hit, that took all the lives of the dinosaurs millions of years ago. So this is, and they go over the details of how they know where it was, and where it hit, and how it hit, and how hard it hit, how fast it was going, and with the special effects, the digital effects they use, it's actually the most thrilling depiction I've ever seen of that bit of information. That the asteroid hit, dinosaurs died, but it makes it actually kind of really cool looking. They don't bother showing dinosaurs really, but they do show the impact and how it affected everything around the world as a result, killing off the dinosaurs due to everything that went into the atmosphere. And believe it or not, New Jersey has a very strong involvement in how that all went down, or at least they had the most evidence in relation to what's going on. It's a fun, interesting story. Some less fun stories were telling the stories of pirates and slave traders in the Gulf of Mexico during a time when it was illegal to ship any more slaves from the coast of Africa. They would find their way into the Gulf of Mexico and then make their way to New Orleans, where there was still slave trading and sales and things like that. And you see that there's a number of ships that have sunk with the lives of many people on board as a result, taking them from their homes, shipping them across the ocean only to die in a boat. It might have been a sort of mercy as compared to what they were in for, but either way, it's no way to live or die. There's my soapbox. But they show what the remains that they found. They even show, there's even a story of how in the Gulf of Mexico, when there was again German U-boats, they went back to Nazis again. The Nazis apparently show up everywhere, and one was positioned in the Gulf of Mexico and taken out ships left and right. In the times that they spent in U.S. waters, in American waters, they took down, those German U-boats took down over 600 American ships. And you're thinking of us being over here and away from the battle and everything else. Yeah, sure. When it came to any kind of land battles or anything else, it was the oceans that they made their greatest incursions against the U.S. and it was devastating. And how this one very powerful, or the one that racked the highest body count U-boat was able to be taken out and where it was found, and other notable ships that it took down, such as Robert E. Lee. We get to see the wreckage of that, and they can show that history is either confirmed or denied as we know it through these discoveries. So it's kind of, like I said, more than kind of really interesting if you're into history and things like that, which I am. So I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna add this to my list. Boom! I don't do that a lot. It's now on my watch list. I think I'm gonna finish this. This is about, I think the first season has like 10 episodes and the second season has like 15, so there's not a whole lot. But yeah, it's worth checking out if this is your thing. If you're not into documentaries and things like that, yeah, maybe not. But I just love the fact that they do all the draining of the ocean to see what's underneath it, and who knows what's next. Actually, I do know what's next. Let's take a look. The lost worlds of the Mediterranean, sunken treasures, legends of Atlantis, the deadly Pacific, Egypt's lost wonders, mysteries of the China Seas, ultimate battleships, Malaysia Airlines 370. That's just season 1. Season 2 is the secrets of D-Day, secrets of New York City, train the Hudson. Good grief! Can you imagine? There's all these cars and Jimmy Hoffa down there. Killer U-boats, and they're back to the U-boats. Buried secrets of the Gold Rush, and secrets of the Civil War. Lost nukes of the Cold War. Secrets of the Spanish Armada. Pacific War Mega Wrecks. Thai Cave Rescue. Okay, it's not an ocean, but whatever. London's Secret History. Secrets of Loch Ness. Oh, they're going to drain the Loch Ness? The Loch? Hey. Hitler's killer warships, back to Nazis again. Lost Giants. Pacific Shockwave. And Rise of the Roman Empire. So that's 25 episodes there. That's a solid collection of episodes. I think I'm going to take those in. So I spent enough of your time talking about it. Let's talk about the next episode. If you haven't heard and figured it out, I really like this series. So, but let's see if we can find something even better on Disney Plus. 280. Again, this feels familiar, but we'll see. Yep. Yeah, I know what it is. It's Jonas. Yep, the series. Series of the Jonas Brothers that we had a few weeks ago. Let's pick another one. 285. We don't have to go far. Okay, I don't know what this is, but it's a movie. And it's called Jumping Ship. All right. That's our next project. That's the next in the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. See you back here tomorrow. We'll talk about it. See you. Bye.